There's three categories of aid. There's the military assistance, and the U.S. is the leader on that. We've done an awesome job. We haven't done enough. We've been way too slow, especially on the ammo side, and we haven't sent enough weapons. When I was in Kiev last week, I met with a parliamentarian, and he said, "Thank you for the ATACMS, but 35, give me a break. Like we need
Wow.
hundreds. We need as many as possible." So there's the military side. There's the economic side, and the EU has been the leader on this. And this is the money that keeps the state alive. It keeps the railways going. It keeps homes lit. It keeps pensions paid. This is really important, and the EU's been the leader on this. So if the EU can't get this through, it's going to make it much, much harder for Ukraine as a state to exist. And then the third bucket is the humanitarian assistance.
Manpower is something that you mentioned, and we talked about this when you were just back last week. It's not just men to fight, young, strong men to fight, but just people to help with this response and to keep society going here, Melinda. Put that in perspective for us.
Sure. So, Joe, in October, I went out to Zaporizhia, which is one of the provinces that Vladimir Putin claims he now belongs to Russia. And I spoke to a number of people, and the feeling there among Ukrainian soldiers is that we Ukrainian soldiers who have been fighting for more than 600 days are sticking our necks out, and all of society in Ukraine is not helping. Some people are having normal lives, and they haven't done enough. And that there needs to be a bigger mobilization, and that President Zelensky needs to put the economy on a war footing, and everyone needs to be contributing so that the war can be ended as soon as possible. I've heard that sentiment again and again, and I would say that that's growing frustration in Ukraine right now.
We're spending time with Melinda Haring from the Atlantic Council amid this debate in Washington on whether to or how to or to what extent the U.S. should be funding Ukraine. President Zelensky was here not that long ago while you were in Kyiv, as a matter of fact, Melinda. He understands the debate here in the United States, the political element here domestically that's impacting funding for his own country. What do people in Kyiv say about this?
What do people in Kiev say about Zelensky's visit? I think they're glad that
the fact that we're holding this up actually on our own border dispute. That's something that he's aware of. He's a politician. He's in touch with Joe Biden. But what do people walking around Kyiv say about securing the border in El Paso?
They're so confused, Joe. They're like, why are you guys conflating the two? What do these have to do with each other? And the answer is, we don't know. They're not. They're totally unrelated. And then, I have to explain wonderful American domestic politics, that this is a way to get something that the GOP wants and give Biden a black eye. But in Ukraine, when there's air sirens, in the front lines, when it's a matter of life and death, this feels really silly. It's really hard to explain how petty the politics are here in a war zone.
General Mark Kimmett here on this program, Melinda, suggested that if there was a lapse in funding, if that had to happen, that landing in the middle of a bitter cold winter might in fact be the best time for it to, as fighting begins to slow down. I wonder if you agree with that, knowing the hell that Ukrainian soldiers are about to go through.
I think the general has a point, Joe. So I don't agree on humanitarian assistance, but on military assistance, if you have to pick a point to slow it down, sure, that makes sense. And we're at a bit of a lull right now. It's still a hot war, but it's there's limited options you have during a winter period. But from a humanitarian perspective, if you can't heat homes, if you don't have water, if the trains can't run, if you can't pay pensions, and it's 20 degrees, you're going to have a big humanitarian crisis. And I think the bigger point is that's what Vladimir Putin wants. We discussed this many times. What was the rocket strategy last year that Putin threw all over Ukraine? And it was to try to create a massive migration and scare the hell out of people so that they would leave and go to Europe. And he did not accomplish that. So, in some ways, Putin is getting what he wants sort of piece by piece and incrementally. And if I have to sum up where I think we are, I think this is the strategy. He doesn't have to unleash this horrible, super aggressive rocket strategy. If you look at the number of rockets he's shooting this year compared to last year, the number is quite a bit lower. And I think Putin thinks he has the West and Ukraine exactly where he wants us. He's very tactical and he's very patient, and he thinks that he cares more about Ukraine than the West does.